What's going on? God damn it. Welcome to the Anthony Sain Show. This is, of course, your host, Anthony Sain. Join us, Join beside me is my man, Kenny Stubblefield. I got my man, Zach Edey, behind me in the back, man. I had to just
go
to a different location today, bro. I had to just go to a totally different location, bro.
You in a different mind. We're in a different mindset today. We remind these people, man. We're in a different mind frame today, man.
Yeah, we're in another mind frame today, man. I've been hiding my desire for Zach Edey from everybody, including y'all this week. I ain't been saying nothing. I've been like, man, fuck this clinging stuff, man. Give me Edey. Like, give me Edey, bro. Let's go. I've never flipped on a guy this much in a short period of time. Because in the beginning of the month, because like, here's the thing about me. I do not watch college basketball at all. I'm documented saying that this shit is trash. I watch Tiger games sometimes, but I do not watch college basketball at all. I have to listen to what other people have to say pretty much for the most part about guys. And everything I heard about Edey was always too slow, and his game won't translate to the NBA. So that's what I stood on. And I think this is what a lot of people stand on, right? I think
a lot of folks stood on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when I started doing my own research, watching videos, listening to other people talk from the other side of the track, listen to local people talk, listen to people who I actually trust talk about this. And just watching videos and commentary, interviews, all those type of things. And like 7'5", 300 pounds.
Screen 7'11" wingspan. Like what?
Wingspan. Only missed 2 games his entire 4-year college career. That type of stuff. I was like, all right, bro. This kid, I know he's from Canada, man. He may have gone through the Weapon X project, man. You know what I mean? He might have went through the same thing that Wolverine went through to get his superpowers. Because there are a lot of things about Zach Edey that are supernatural, like for real. There's things about him that just don't add up. He's not supposed to be this durable at that height in college basketball and playing the amount of minutes that he plays. You're talking about a guy who's averaging 30-something minutes per game in college and not getting hurt. Not getting hurt at all. And not fouling out. Averaging 2 fouls a game. Like, bro, what are you? You know what I mean? And I'm super excited about it. As the draft went on yesterday, we'll talk about some of the weirdness, some of the wildness from the draft last night, especially around this particular pick. And things that were going on and did not go on last night. I have a couple of theories I'm gonna throw out there. I'm a conspiracy theorist guy, and I believe either Zach Kleiman was either extra precautious last night or he's a madman. And I'm starting to lean towards he might just be a madman.
He might be a madman.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that before we end this segment. Gonna be a good show today. My man Chip Williams, we're gonna talk to him. Had a pre-interview with him last night, a 3-way conversation with me, you, and Chip Williams last night. He's going to be our guest for the sit down with Sain. Plus, we may have a very, very,
we cooking
up something. It might just happen at a time. You might just come from a break and we have a special guest today. So, we're trying to pull that off today. But Chip Williams is definitely going to be on with us today for the sit down with Sain. He's been on top of the draft this whole time. He was telling me, he said, man, regardless of what my boards say, regardless of what my, analytics say, I got a feeling we're about to go with Zach Edey. I got a feeling Zach Edey's going to be the guy. And it played out yesterday. It played out live on my man Daniel Greer's NBA draft show. The live reaction to see Chip when he saw, because everybody else didn't have their phones, right?
Right.
They were just watching the draft, the old-fashioned way. And Chip got the notification. You can see Chip's face like, yes, I knew it. I knew it was going to happen.
Yep.
And I'm excited, man. I haven't been this excited over a draft pick since Ja Morant. And he's in my top 5 of, because I was not a Jaren Jackson Jr. guy.
Right. Yeah. Initially, you were not big on his ceiling, right?
Yeah. No. And I was I put up my top 5 today of guys that I had like morning after excitement for. Pause, but
big pause. What?
Extreme pause.
Yeah, big pause.
Heavy on the AO. But now, you know what those top 5 were? Like the order of excitement.
I haven't seen your tweet, so yeah, I would love to know who the top 5 is.
Number 1 was Ja Morant. I was extremely excited to get Ja Morant.
Of course.
Number 2, OJ Mayo. Number 3, Rudy Gay. Because if you've never seen it, go YouTube Rudy Gay college mix. Go YouTube that, and you'll see why I was excited in 2009. Right. Number 4 is Edey, and number 5 is I can't remember. Conley is 5. Mike Conley's number 5.
Wow, really? You were excited about Mike Conley?
Yeah. Yeah, because I watching them in college, I had a lot of excitement about Mike Conley coming here. But those are my top 5. Like I said, guys, as far as excitement, Battier now might be up there because Battier might have been pretty high. But I felt like I was kind of forcing myself because it was year one.
It was year one. We had to be.
Yeah, those are my top 5 guys as far as excitement. But I'm extremely excited about Zach Edey. He's a guy. I'm not gonna get into too much of this. I'm gonna let Chip kind of deal with the heavy lifting when we talk to him. But like, I'm excited about a guy that I believe. And here's the question: you ask yourself, okay, what did the Grizzlies need at center? Does this guy provide those things? Yes.
In spades, he provides it.
Here's the thing too, and I'll talk to Chip about this. I don't want to get into too much details other than my general level of excitement. But one of the things that you have to remember when it comes down to evaluating guys for the NBA, the college game and the NBA game are 2 totally different games, right?
Absolutely.
Is can I take this guy? Can I take his physical abilities? Can I take his skill set? And can I make them translate to what I need him to be for the NBA? That's the question you're asking, right? That's the question you're asking about every one of these guys. No matter what they were in college, no matter what system he played in, what he was asked to do, what he was able to do, can I take what he's able to do and apply that to what I need him to do in the NBA?
And I think to kind of put a further point on that, a bow on that, Ant, is I said this from the very beginning. You need to get a guy who can accentuate what Ja, Jaren, and Dez do on this team, right?
Yep. Can he rebound?
Does the guy you pick? Does the guy you pick help accentuate what your main 3 guys need to be successful?
Yep. And I've seen so many people overanalyze this pick, overanalyze everything about this whole situation. And I've just got a few basic questions. Can he rebound at a high level? Yes.
Yes.
Can he score easy baskets, around the rim? Yes. Can he score on putbacks? Yes. Is he a lob threat? Yes. Can he block shots? Yes. Can he set screens? Yes. And he's probably overqualified for what we need him to do because he's one of the greatest college basketball big men of all time, right? Now, are there going to be times where it seems like his game isn't adjusted to the NBA? Yes, because guess what? He's a NBA rookie, and he's 7'5", and he's a big man. There's going to be situations where he's going to, it's like we saw Steven Adams struggle. We saw Jonas Valanciunas struggle. Right. But we saw games where these guys absolutely dominated in spite of their struggles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Does Ja Morant have things that are weaknesses? Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, G.G. Jackson. Yes, all these guys have weaknesses to their games. You're going to be moments where those guys are going to kill you. But I definitely feel like the good is going to outweigh the bad. I think he's going to be extremely marketable here. I think he's going to be a guy that the city loves. I think he's going to have a cool personality. People are going to get behind. Go watch some of his interviews. Go watch some of his post-game reactions.
Go look at his glasses. Go look at the glasses, the fit he had on last night.
Oh, that man was so smooth yesterday. Hey, so smooth, man. Hey, give me the dude that's like, man, I'm not gonna sit up here with no damn monkey suit on for y'all at the draft night, man. I'm sitting at the house with the broskies, with the fam, eating barbecue. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing this, man. Probably smoking a joint or something. I'm not messing with y'all, man. I'm chilling at the house, man. I'm not coming up here for this booty ass draft. These weirdo looking ass dudes, little kid looking ass dudes,
little kid looking at that
man, church league looking ass, middle school hooper ass.
Oh, listen, I love Rob Dillingham, but man, when you're 5'3", man, come on,
man, that man getting littler and littler, bro. Man, that man.
I saw a video of him. I was like, is that Rob Dillingham? Bro, how little are you?
Man, the boy. He like one of them things where it's like for every 100 retweets, I'm gonna make him smaller. Like who keeps retweeting Rob Dillingham?
Stop retweeting Rob Dillingham, man. Making him smaller every day. God damn.
But Rob Dillingham very well might be the steal of the draft. Probably will be a Grizzlies nemesis, being he's headed to Minnesota. We'll talk about that and other good things we saw from the draft. What we believe to be good moves from the draft, as well as some bad moves we believe to be in the draft. We'll talk about that for the 3-pointer as well. Like I said, Chip Williams is going to join us. We're working on another guest today. Like I said, it might be one of them game time decisions on that. It's going to be a great show today. I'm super excited. You should be super excited as well. We'll talk about that and more here on the Anthony Sain Show. We'll see you guys in a minute.
I haven't done one Instagram post.
No?
Yet.
And you're on the IG, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've not one. And I don't even know like what, how. No.
Take a picture and we can put it on the IG.
Should be our first, should be my first post. Here we go.
Yeah, there we are. We just took a picture.
So what do you do now?
All right, well, now you got to go to Instagram. Boom. And then write a little something cute.
Back in the studio.
Back in the studio. That's good. That's good.
And then hit OK.
Yes. And then share. And there you go. You've posted. How about that? You just posted your first Instagram, and I'm in it. I'm honored. That's awesome. All right. Hey, we got...
Tune in to the Night Court Podcast with your hosts, Rob Fisher and Brevin Knight, on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
I brought up Ryan Silverfield in like this arrogant way. Like he's becoming a little more arrogant, but it's in a positive manner. He's like talking up the players, talking up the program. Let's go. I think there's a negative arrogance about what Penny said in this quote. He said, quote, "I feel like if I leave," talking about leaving the University of Memphis, "it's going to go down hard." He thinks he is the key to success here at the University of Memphis. If I'm reading that quote correctly, quite frankly, if I leave, this thing's going to shit. I gotta say that is not only is it incorrect, I think it's arrogant as hell.
To me, it's just a really strange comment. Kind of like you're getting at maybe if Memphis is a national championship contender, if Memphis is, made it to multiple Sweet 16, then that comment makes sense. Then yeah, he's probably right in that sentiment. But
you've won one NCAA tournament game in 6 years,
right?
But no offense.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show. Time for the sit down with Sain. Got my guy Chip Williams, man. I told him I was gonna have to bring him back as soon as the draft is over. He's been a busy man, man. They've been thotting my boy out all this week, man. To see him on shows all over the internet, man. I've seen my boy Chip Williams. He is the NBA draft analyst for Bluff City Media. Longtime friend of mine. We go back to player comp and everybody the Grizzlies drafted into somebody that was way better than who they actually were. My man Chip Williams joins us now. Chip, what's going on, my brother?
Not much, man. Always a pleasure to be here. Who did we comp Jordan Adams to? Do you remember?
We comp James Harden.
Harden, that's right. Of course. He was James Harden, and he should have been if it wasn't for the injuries.
Yep, and Russ Smith was Allen Iverson, all those.
That's right. Yeah. No, we were way ahead of the curve, man. Before Kendrick Perkins was doing it on ESPN, we were doing it ourselves. So
yeah, exactly.
We were the pioneers.
Yeah, and I think John L. Stokes was. I can't remember who John L. Stokes was, but who knows? But yeah. Had a lot of fun back then, man. Longtime friend, my guy Chip Williams. As the time of us recording this, the Grizzlies have added 2 new players to their roster. One we're super excited about. We had a conversation last night about him, and that's Zach Edey, taking number 9 in the draft. To mixed reviews, most people who are talking about the Grizzlies are saying that, hey, a little higher than how I would have took him, but he's a perfect fit for the Grizzlies. I think he's really going to work out. Me and you both are super excited. Kenny's super excited as well. What are your thoughts when you saw I watched the draft show yesterday with you guys, and I saw you had a sneak peek that Zach Edey was going to be the pick at number 9. So what were your thoughts when you saw that come across your screen last night?
Yeah, I mean, excited, right? Like I don't know that there's been a more polarizing prospect in recent memory than Edey. I mean, going back, like Luka was incredibly polarizing, but especially a guy that wasn't really considered like a top 5 pick. Everyone just had wild opinions on him. You find guys, people whose opinion I really respect in the draft community who had Zach Edey number 1. You'll also find people whose opinion I really respect who had Zach Edey in the 20s or 30s. So he was all over the place. I settled with him as a top 10 guy in this class. And I've told a couple people I kind of want to edit my draft board now and put him like top 3 because I just think the Grizzlies are a perfect fit for him. Like this makes so much sense. And I think the more you think about it and the more you look at what he does well and what he brings, it's perfect, man. It really is a perfect fit.
One of the things that I took from him, because I've been convinced, I was not a Zach Edey fan this time about a month ago. It was the stuff from the combine that really got me. So for people who are skeptical, give us the skeptic's eye view of Zach Edey with all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, I think people look at like okay, he's 7'5", but he doesn't move. He's not this swift like Alex Sarr, Jaren Jackson, Mobley, Chet Holmgren mover that you see so many of these high bigs are going these days, right? So people are saying, hey, he's going to get thrown in pick and rolls in the playoffs. They're going to make him defend in space. How's he going to react to stuff like that? Does he ever shoot it? Is he a good enough passer when teams bring double teams to him? That's the negative stuff, right? Or at least that's the questions he's going to have to answer when he gets in the league.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about none of that stuff, right? Matt Painter was on with Gary Parrish today, right? And he was talking about the things that people are concerned about with him. That's the concern of every big man in the league, you know,
right?
Getting caught in having to guard, top level guards on the perimeter and getting hunted and pick and rolls like those. You're talking about, except for a very small number of guys on any particular team, that's going to be an issue. One of those guys who is not an issue is Jaren Jackson Jr., who's on our team, a guy who I definitely think would benefit with having a very, very big man behind him at that center position. How do you think Jaren will benefit from Zach Edey? And also, what do you think of the comments that Matt Painter made saying that, hey, of course he's going to struggle with that, but so what? There's other things he's going to excel in as well.
So I think Matt Painter is spot on, and that is what really sold me. Is I was with you, right? Like I was thinking, all right, this is kind of gimmicky. Maybe this guy's worth a late first-round pick and a draft that's considered weaker. But I think when I set the stuff to the side of what he's not good at and focused on what he's elite at, that's when you start to realize, oh man, like, yeah, sure, he's got some questions that he's going to have to answer. But I think Zach Kleiman said it best last night. Teams are going to have to deal with that guy, right? Like he's 7'4" with his shoes off. So that means, and you play basketball with shoes on. So he's going to put his shoes on. He's going to be 7'5", and he's got a 7'11" wingspan, and he can just about touch the rim flat-footed. Like that's insane, right? Like there's just not that many guys in the history of the league that have been that tall. And then you go and look at what he's done in his Purdue career. The first couple years, it was a little gimmicky, right? Like it was just, okay, who's this big guy? Like not super skilled, doesn't move that well. Then all of a sudden, the last couple seasons, he had this crazy development. And Purdue, he became the focal point of everything they did. 2-time National Player of the Year. I believe he's the last guy to do that was Ralph Sampson. That was a long time ago, and Ralph Sampson's a pretty good player. So he's got a lot more to learn too, and he's already one of the best college basketball players from a statistics point ever. Like I was looking last night, you look at the impact, the box plus minus, right? That's kind of the catch-all. How does this guy perform on the floor? If you look at that and the usage, how much he was used at Purdue, there's one guy who's reached the numbers Zach Edey has, and that was Steph Curry at Davidson, who was not playing in a high major conference like Edey was. I mean, it's remarkable. Like he breaks analytic models. He's off the charts. So, and then as far as Jaren goes, I think it's going to be a mutually beneficial partnership, right? So all the questions you have about Edey being able to move defensively, our team's going to make him defend in space, guard pick and rolls. Well, you've got the guy who is just one of the youngest defensive players of the year, who's 7 feet tall with a 7'4" wingspan, who blocks everything when you allow him to roam. So he's going to cover up a lot of that stuff. And then Jaren, we saw like the driving stuff that he was able to add to his game this year. I'm already imagining like some 4 or 5 pick and rolls with Jaren and Edey with a bunch of shooters surrounding them. Like it's going to be something to watch, man. That is a lot of arms and a lot of men that teams are going to have to deal with on both ends of the floor.
Especially if you throw out lineups where you put Bane maybe on the ball, right? Where Ja's on the bench, and you put Bane on the ball with him, or even Marcus Smart. Or no, you put Bane on the ball, and then you got Kennard maybe, and one other guy that can knock down shots, maybe a GG or Vince Williams, something like that. Yeah, you can do some nasty stuff with Jaren, playing kind of on the ball as well. You know what I mean? You can really do some nasty stuff. If you can do some crazy stuff with a guy like him, man. For sure.
Yep.
I'm just simplified this pick, man. I look at a guy who the Grizzlies had clear needs. We need a big man, need somebody that can rebound, need somebody that can make Jaren have to play the 4, need somebody that can play defense, somebody that can set screens. make free throws.
Yep.
He checks off every box, bro. And he's overqualified for the stuff we need. Plus, on top of him being a 25-point per game scorer in college, you know what I mean? A guy that you can give the ball to and say, "Go get us buckets, man." He can be that dude, man. We haven't had a guy like that since JV.
Yep.
When we're in a rut, if you got a lineup where Marcus Smart is in playing backup point guard or whatever, and you just you're in a rut, you need a bucket. He's a guy that you can just give the ball to and say, "Man, just go score 12 points this quarter." You know what I mean? He can be that dude, man. And I think fans are just really overthinking what he is, what he can be. It's kind of frustrating. Yeah, I get all the stuff, but we're not asking him to be any of those things he was in college. I think he can be a guy who can just be unbelievable as our center. And I think anybody who thinks this guy's not starting, this is your starting center, man. The way that King Kleiman was talking, the way he was describing him, the things he saw with him and Jaren, he's not talking about him playing against reserves. He's talking about this guy being your center for the future.
No, absolutely. And I think too, what Ja was so good when he had a Jonas or a Steven Adams to have that comfortable pick and roll partnership, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to get that. For me, Zach Edey is the best screener I've seen in at least 2 or 3 drafts. Just the size, man. He's very strong. He's got really good core strength. He's hard to push off his spot. So when he gets set, that's a big guy that you have to get around or go under. And Ja's been so good at dealing with either one. Going under, he can kind of hit the quick crossover and get by his man. Or if you try to switch it, all of a sudden now you've got a guard defending Zach Edey. And so you got 2 options. You can either run a second guy at him and you're going to have one of your shooters open, Jaren, Dane, Gigi, Vince, Luke, or you can let him go one-on-one with a guy that's probably 6'5" at best, and that's an automatic 2 points, or you're going to have to foul him, or like you said, he's a great free throw shooter. Your mind just starts to go to these places of all the things Taylor Jenkins is going to be able to do with this guy. And none of it involves the big thing of people post-up bigs don't matter anymore. Okay, fine. Say that's true, even though Edey is one of the best post-up bigs ever to come in the NBA, especially in the last 10, 15 years. He can do so much other stuff on offense to affect the game and get shots for other guys. We talk about one of the buzz things in the draft community is advantage creation. That guy creates advantages just by stepping on the floor. He's going to help his teammates out so much.
And you've heard so much about him being slow and all these type of things. He can't move his feet, all these type of things. Shout out to my man, Peter Edmondson, my former co-host back when I was at Sports 56. Put out a tweet today. It says, "Were you aware that at 7'4", 300 pounds, Zach Edey still had a faster combine lane agility sprint time, 11.19 seconds than these players? Pascal Siakam, Kawhi Leonard, DeAnthony Melton, who's a guard. Kawhi Leonard, one of the best defenders of all time. Zachary Reese-Share, who went number 1 in the draft. Yep. Mike Conley, one of the greatest Grizzlies ever. Tyus Jones, and Steven Adams.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, And all right, another one that people talked about was you got to take Klingon higher because he moves better, right?
Right.
He beat Klingon in literally every combine statistic. I do agree that when I watch them play, I think Klingon is maybe a little bit more of a fluid mover. But when you add all the extra stuff that Edey does, that Klingon hope maybe one day he can do this stuff, we've already seen Edey do it, right? And if they're similar type athletes, I think it's not even close that Zach Edey just makes a ton of sense for what the Grizzlies need and what they're going to ask him to do.
And you mentioned Donovan Klingon, a lot of murmurs, a lot of rumors about the Grizzlies trying to move up for him for the last month or so, right? And then when draft night comes, Jake Fisher puts out a tweet saying that the deal is done. Memphis has made a deal with Charlotte, right? And it doesn't happen. I have 2 ways of thinking. I think that maybe the Grizzlies thought, "Hey, I'm good on this." The common thought is that, hey, maybe Charlotte asked for too much. Memphis is backing out at the last minute. Some people are saying that Charlotte didn't think that the guy that they ended up taking would be there at 9. They thought he wouldn't get past San Antonio. But there's another theory that a guy on Twitter put out, and this is the one I choose to subscribe to, Chip Williams. It's wild now. It's wild as shit. I'm not going to act like it's not, but this is the one I choose to subscribe to. He says that what if Memphis never was that interested in Donovan Clingan at all? Like what if they were like, yeah, I'm cool. I like Donovan Clingan. He might even be our 1A. But Edey is right there. Like Edey's right there, like as far as our guys, right? And he said, what if Memphis knew that Chicago really wanted Donovan Clingan, right? And what if Memphis was like, hey, we've got the assets to go get him. But if we if Chicago comes up to get him, if Chicago comes up to get Donovan Clingan, right? We know Portland's probably going to take Zach Edey because they were looking for a true big man. They've got a bunch of stiffs, a bunch of bums on their roster, right? What if Memphis was like, hey, as long as Chicago doesn't get up, we're fine. So let us screw around with Charlotte. Let us screw around with Detroit. Let us tie up their phone lines like we really got this deal in place. Get Chicago out of here where Chicago can't get Clingan. So Portland has to get Clingan. Now we can get our guy at 9. It sounds wild as hell, man, but the more I look at it, the more I choose to subscribe to that kind of theory. But whether you believe that or not, what do you think actually happened last night with that particular deal?
I mean, I don't think Jake Fisher just made up that there was trade talks from 9 to 6, right? I mean, you and I talked about this a little bit earlier. Like, he's a good reporter, right? And he doesn't get a ton of stuff wrong. And he's not a guy who just makes stuff up. So I believe him when he tells me that, hey, there's trade talks going on and Memphis is looking up to 6. But I kind of lean towards where you are, where I think the Grizzlies were doing everything they can to manipulate the draft and make sure that they could stay at 9 and just take Zach Edey, the guy they wanted all along. You know, tell you for what it's worth, but Zach Kleiman, he's supposed to say this, but he said the draft went exactly the way we wanted it to go.
Which speaks to my theory, though. That speaks to my theory, though.
I believe it.
Like, yeah, we finessed these folks, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I believe him. I believe him when he says that.
I'm about to sign up for that one for real.
Yeah, no, I'm with it, man. I think that this was another King Kleiman masterclass, as they say. So I think he's done it once again.
Yeah, man, I'm with it for sure. Also, I think we've done enough Zach Edey talk for today. Jaylen Wells out of Washington State was a guy that was recently selected by the Memphis Grizzlies. A lot of people are like, man, the Grizzlies did it again. I guarantee you this guy's going to be a player in the league. I thought it was going to be a pick that would take that was going to be like more on the draft and stash type thing, not even a two-way guy. But people say, no, man, this is a roster guy. This is a roster guy saying this is a roster guy. What are your thoughts on Jaylen Wells? I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about him. I saw him on your second-day big board. What are your thoughts on Jaylen Wells, a 6'8" shooter out of Washington State?
Yeah, so when the pick came up, I only had 2 guys above him in terms of guys I thought that were best available. Isaiah Crawford, who has had 2 ACL surgeries, but I think he's probably the closest thing we've seen to Vince Williams since Vince. And then I believe the point guard from Colorado too he went just after the Grizzlies pick, and I had just those 2 guys ahead of him, right? But Jaylen Wells is a guy I was very high on. I had him 27th. I had him so I would have been very comfortable taking him in the first round. I had him in a similar tier as guys who did go in the first round, like Tristan Da Silva from Colorado, Jacoby Walter from Baylor, Baylor Shireman from Creighton, some guy, Pacom Dadier, who went to the Knicks. Like, I think that he is like an excellent pick at 39 because he's a legitimate, he's 6'6.5" with the shoes off. So he's 6'7.5", 6'8" when he's playing basketball. He got up over 10 3-point attempts per 100 possessions. So volume 3-point shooter at 6'8", knocked down right around 42% of his threes and shot over 80% from the foul line. So when you're looking at second round picks, like, he's not a great defender. He doesn't put the ball on the floor a ton. He doesn't really pass. Like, he doesn't do a ton of other stuff that's great. But if you just take a 6'8" wing shooter at pick 39, there's a lot of guys who stick in the league just by doing that kind of stuff, right? So I'm a fan. I really liked his game. He's got a unique story. He really just played 1 year of high major college basketball at Washington State this past year, transferred there. I believe maybe he was a D2 guy before that. So really like a late bloomer, but a big thing too, he's young. He hadn't turned 21 years old yet. So he's still a very young guy. He's got a lot of development to go. And I think it's a really good swing at 39.
So it looks like you just described a 6'8" black Luke Kennard is what you just described.
Maybe so. Hey, one thing I do want to say too, I tweeted this right before we came on. So the Grizzlies, I think for so many years, they found good value in the draft because of guys who had like negative positional size, right? Like Brandon Clark is a 6'8" center. Xavier Tillman was a 6'8" center. Desmond Bain is 6'6", but he's got like a 6'5" wingspan, and he's a 2'3", They've been so good at finding really good basketball players. Exactly. But the problem is they're small for their position. The last 3 picks have been 6'9" wing Gigi Jackson, 7'5" center Zach Edey, and 6'8" wing Jaylen Wells. I think they recognize that, and they're finding really good players who also have plus positional size. And you see in the playoffs, like Denver, Minnesota, the Celtics, so many of these teams they just overwhelm you with size. So huge fan of them going out and getting plus size guys for their position.
And I think the Grizzlies were one of their problems in the years past. When you look at the guys that are still here that they had from a couple bad drafts, is that they were trying to find these guys that were a little bit of everything, right? They could play some defense. They're kind of okay at shooting, but you hope the shooter can develop. But they're good defenders that can play make a little bit. And they just said, no, man, let me go get some guys who have a proven NBA skill. Gigi Jackson, big and he can score. Zach Edey, big, he can rebound. Do all these type of things. Jaylen Wells, he can knock down shots like few other guys in the draft. And just let those guys find a role in the NBA. I think I'm down for it. I'm excited about what I'm about to see this year. Tip of the hat to King Kleiman and company, man. Like I said, we have one more draft pick left this round. We were recording this before everything happened. But, Chip, I got another guest coming on tonight too, man. I found out that I have another guest. We've been wondering we were going to get this guest, a very special guest, man. I don't even know who it is, Chip. Matter of fact, I'm about to go give me something to eat, man. I'm about to slide about this. I'm going to let Kenny do the interview, man. Hey, that's the magic of doing a podcast. You can do whatever you want to do it, man. I appreciate you coming in, man. Like I said, we have a very special guest coming on after this show. I ain't going to tell you who it is, man. When we come back from the break, you're just going to see another dude up here talking to Kenny, man. It's going to be, I'm telling you, it's somebody that's connected to this man over, hold on, I can't get my stuff right. To this man over my shoulder, man. This guy right here, he's connected to him. He can tell you about him like few other people can. We'll see you guys in a minute with more on the Anthony Sain Show. We'll see you guys in a minute.
I think people knew, at least towards the end of the year, Penny mentioned his mom being sick and battling throat cancer, I think it was, and different things, but like he really opened up about it. I don't know that anybody knew about his mom having a stroke mid-season, leaves a shoot around, goes home to find his mom on the floor, and then had to basically leave her to still go coach a game.
It's crazy.
Like I can't, it puts things into perspective. It's just like some things are more important than basketball. And so, yeah, to your point of him being distracted or focused on taking care of or the health of his mother, like totally understandable. So no wonder a part of him probably feels personally attacked. I think if that had been out, and I'm not saying he should have put that out, like totally his family,
absolutely not.
Privacy, whatever. I'm just saying, had it been out and people known that, I think he would have been given a lot more slack for what had occurred during the season.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Give me your position group or player or however you want to break it down that you're the most confident in and the least confident in.
Whether Arthur Kaluma plays for Memphis or not, it's the backcourt of Tyrese Hunter and PJ Haggerty. Them getting PJ Haggerty this year first was a needle mover to the highest degree, I think, in terms of what kind of expectations for this team. In terms of weakness, depth, maybe. Not having David, and not, if they don't land Arthur Kaluma, not having Arthur Kaluma, I think then depth becomes an issue. But I would also counter that and say we probably won't be hearing over the season, why is Penny playing 12 players? Shorten his rotations. Well, now it's kind of forced to if they don't have the horses off the bench to be able to come in and produce. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for a Penny Hardaway team.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show. Obviously, I am not Anthony. I am Kenny Stubblefield, his producer, but we have an opportunity to have a very special guest on the show. Head coach of IMG in Bradenton, Florida. The school that Zach Edey was in high school at for years. The head coach, Sean McAloon, is on with us. Coach, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. I think, obviously, your history, the history of IMG is very well known, especially here in the city of Memphis, man. We've had our very own friend of the program, Trey Draper, was actually one of your assistant coaches for a while at IMG, won a national championship with you guys. Just real quick, how long have you been at IMG now?
I just completed my 7th season.
Seventh season.
Moving into year 8.
So how many guys have you had? You've had quite a few guys come through your program. You've had, I know I'm asking you a question. You're probably like, man, let me think real quick. There's been so many.
I know, right?
You've had so many guys come through your program that have obviously gone D1 level basketball off, and you had Josh Green played for you, was in the NBA Finals this year. Man, you've had so many players come through your.
Don't forget, Jaden Springer was there as well. He was on the Celtics. He didn't play, but
thank you so much. Yes, Jaden, absolutely.
Walking away with the ring, though.
Walking away with the ring, man. That's all that matters, right?
Right.
So obviously, man, we wanted to talk to you because last night, Wednesday night, obviously the Grizzlies had the number 9 pick in the draft, and obviously chose Zach Edey as their pick for that number 9 pick. The reaction to it has been pretty wild to me, man. I think that we are unabashed supporters of this at the Anthony Sain Show of this pick. We think that Zach absolutely fits a need and fills a need for what the Grizzlies need, but also I just think there's so much more he can possibly offer for the Grizzlies. There's just so much to his game. As somebody who has been around him for so long, kind of give your history with Zach. Like when he came to you, where was he? Like, what was his level at? He's only played ball for 6 years, right?
Right. So, actually, I told the story this morning to somebody else. So, our director at the time, Brian Nash, who's now the head of athletics here, had a connection with his AAU coach. I think he played for the Northern Kings, and it's an off the beaten path AAU program. It's not like Canada Elite or you play in Canada. And he said he had, Zach, and we got him invited to this Under Armour camp. It was an Under Armour 60 camp, and Zach came, and this was before going into his junior year, or maybe sophomore year. And so anyways, he walked in the door, and he's just a monster,
Right.
And
automatically visually,
I was gonna evaluate him to see if he was gonna be ready for the national team. And it's a 3-day camp. It would have been a great evaluation. Long story short, in the first set of drills at the station, Zach sprains his ankle and he's down for the entire weekend. And so I just told my boss, I don't know if I can take a flyer. He's huge, but I don't know what he can do.
Right.
And he says, well, why don't we just take a flyer for the program in general, get him here, and then we'll see. And so he played the year below. The first year here, he played on the team below mine. And then the next year he played on our team. And it was a team that was loaded with, it was the year after we won the national title, and we had some huge 4s and 5s. We had Zach, obviously. We had Mark Williams, who was drafted by the Hornets. We had Moussa Diabate, who was drafted by the Clippers. And then we had Lynn Kidd, who is currently, I believe, at Miami on his COVID year. And, it was a good year for Zach. People always crush me all the time, and I'm willing to take it because Matt obviously figured it out and I didn't. But he didn't play as many minutes. In some games he probably didn't get in as much. But again, he was so young in his development at the time, and those guys were a little bit further ahead. But yeah, the reaction. I read all this stuff online. It's pretty polarizing, but he's a polarizing kid. He's 7'5", and people just don't understand him. Probably is the best way to describe it. And all he's done is just continue to work and get better, and that's what he did here. And I mean, obviously, what you said, everybody saw at Purdue is crazy, just the growth.
So, in terms of development, have you? Obviously, IMG is known just for being loaded top to bottom, and you mentioned some of the guys that were in front of him. Obviously, Mark and Musa and those guys that were that are NBA players as well, and had great college careers and. When you saw Zach as he was growing, like, did you see obviously we saw the game day stuff where there were times in high school that I would think a lot of folks would walk away from games going, okay, what does Zach, like, what is he going to grow into? You see the size, you see what he offers out there, but what is he actually going to become? What did you see in practice as you were working with him, training, developing him? Did you believe that he could be what he is now?
Well, the NBA has changed so much. If Zach was in the 80s or in the early 90s, Zach might have been the number one pick. I think what I noticed was he was just more athletic than most people at that size. And I think it was just, in my opinion, was just be from crossing over from sport to sport before he finally settled on basketball. And I've been telling that to Painter when he was in him, and just expressing that he was more athletic. I don't know if I saw him getting to what he got to now. I don't know if anyone really saw that except for probably Zach and Purdue.
Right.
But I couldn't, from a distance, be more proud of watching his growth and development. It just shows that if you get in the gym and you do the right things, put the right things in your body, you can change. And I mean, he's so young in his growth and development. I think there's more. Like I said, 6 years is a lot different than most kids that are playing AAU starting second and third grade.
We've kind of described him here as almost like a genetic, like, freak Marvel kind of kid, where one of the things that's so unique about him is that he is so big and has to play he had to play so many minutes at Purdue, but yet crazy minutes, but yet has missed 2 games his entire career at Purdue. Right. Like, it's interesting to me, the first time you saw him, he rolls his ankle, but has he missed a game since? Like, is that something that what is that about? Is that just the work that he puts in, or what do you think that is?
Do you know what's crazy? Well, Zach was here. I think he had 2 concussions, 3 actually. One's online with that crazy game that we had at the end of the game. Anyone can pull that up. But then 2 of them were from walking into the doorways. Literally just didn't see it and smashed right into it. So he missed some games. He missed some games, for that. The ankle thing was a thing. But I really think that, like, you got to give Purdue's training staff, their strength and conditioning staff, their nutritionists, like, you got to give them all the credit in the world, because at that size to be able to play 38 minutes, whatever. I mean, the national championship game alone, he played a crazy amount of minutes. Like, you don't have guards that can do that, and you're getting held on. Guys are taking him for piggyback rides. You know what I mean? Like, he's just a monster, and he's able to do that. And I think just from a distance watching that, I think like his development more than anything, just mentally, 1, becoming more comfortable in his skin, and then 2, just growing into someone that can be on the floor for extended periods of time is crazy. And then you take the factor of even the referees, that he had to learn how to play through them learning how to ref somebody like him. And to develop that, I mean, that just takes growth and maturity.
Just growth and maturity all the way around. Obviously everybody knows, anybody that watches basketball knows that the NBA game has changed a lot over the years, even during its, when, like you said, if he had been drafted in a certain time period, might have been the number 1 pick in the draft, but the college game and the NBA game are so different. They're so, different from each other. I've heard a lot of people talk about, man, Zach was a fantastic college player, but what's he going to be able to do in the NBA? Do you have any concerns in that regard towards, like, his transition to the NBA game?
Again, I had somebody else asked me this question earlier. I think that Memphis, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on a show that's in Memphis, you know what I mean? But I think Memphis has an organization from top to bottom that's pretty smart. I think you guys got a head coach that's pretty smart. Obviously the injury bug last year was insane, and Josh such a huge piece. But I think that if you're going to take the 9th pick in the draft, then obviously you see something that you can do with him, right? And you can fit him into this modern game. But if you look at his measurables and what he did at the combine in terms of his speed and his jump and his shuffle and all that, like he was better than anybody else, especially at that size.
Right.
So what are we saying here? Is it, well, we're questioning his lateral speed? Well, it was faster than somebody that was drafted higher than him the other day.
It was faster than Alex Sarr, right?
Right. So we're sitting here and we're looking at a guy that's drafted second, and again, I think Donovan Kling is fantastic, but they one-on-one'd him in the final in the tournament final, and even though his team lost, I mean, Zach. Better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll have an issue. I think the NBA is going to have to adapt to him in some way, shape, or form. If you put him anywhere near a basket, he's going to score.
Right.
If I'm him, I'm becoming best friends with John Morant, and I'm setting a screen for him every single time, because what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The kid can screen out the sun. So, he's coming up to set you a ball screen, and you've got the most dynamic playmaker coming off with what you want to hard hedge it? Great. Let him play in short roll. You know what I mean? Then he could pass it to somebody else and go screen them. I mean, I just think you're going to have to adjust to him more than he's going to have to adjust to the NBA. Now, it'll be an adjustment, but I mean, he just grew up in front of everybody else's eyes. He doubled down. You know what I mean? A year ago, he was a 2nd-round draft pick. All he does is go back and get better and re-up as National Player of the Year and turns himself into a top 10 pick.
Well, I mean, you look at him. I mean, you just even look at his body from year to year. It just has, it has changed like so much. And he came back this year, and we were talking to somebody who works with the Grizzlies off air, and they said that there seems to be kind of an inner beast within Zach that he lets out at certain times, right? There's a certain level of motivation and a kind of an inner monster in him that he's going to let out every once in a while, but when it does, it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure Zach uses his high school year here as motivation in terms of, hey, coach didn't play me as much, and I'm glad to play into that motivation more than anything. Probably helping me become a better coach now after I look back on it and be smarter as Purdue did. But yeah, he's got a chip on his shoulder. There's no question about it. It's a mountain. I think he's been counted out a lot, and all he's continued to do is continue to ring the bell and show up. And those that were better before, he's better than now. And I think he keeps his receipts better than anybody.
Which is, hey, I think that's going to make him fit very nicely in with Memphis, man. Because if there's anything about not only the Memphis Grizzlies, but the city of Memphis as a whole, we are receipt keepers. I will say that.
Yeah, he'll stay on that side. I've seen that one.
Exactly. You've seen that all the way down in Florida. You saw the stay on that side.
Hey, listen, I still have my group chat with Trey and JT, so I know exactly what's happening.
You know what's going on, man. You expect obviously I think most people are pretty excited about a pick and roll option between Ja and Zach. It just makes it kind of seems a bit unfair to have the biggest guy who's the best screener in the entire draft now on a team with one of the most dynamic point guards in the entire game, right?
Yeah, I saw Ja's post this morning. It was hilarious. But I think
the rush hour post.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. But I think he's excited. I mean, you've seen what, and nothing against Lawyer or anybody else, but they're not John Morant coming off that screen.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think there are options there. There's a lob option. I mean, Purdue had some great lob plays, misdirection lob plays for him. I mean, again, he's 7'5", and I was as surprised as anybody. I mean, I wasn't as locked in the draft. I just kept looking at all the mocks, and I saw he was between 15 and like 22. But I kept hearing, like anybody else, because you talked to scouts and stuff, that he was murdering in his draft workouts.
Right.
And he was taking some people down, and I think that that anger that he plays with, but then also the humble nature of denying the green room and watching it with people that believe in him.
I love it.
It's just,
I love it so
I think
much.
that's just an awesome option of what you're getting there. You're getting a hard-working kid, which my view is Memphis. You're getting that grit and grind, which is Memphis, and you're getting the humble nature of who he is. It's just going to be I think it's a good marriage.
Coach, good luck this year at IMG, man. How's the team looking so far this year?
We need a couple more pieces, but I like what we have. We've got the number one point guard in the country coming back. We had him last year.
Yeah,
he just won gold with the United States U18s, and then we have a kid right now that was his backup this past year. Probably going to start with him playing U17 Puerto Rican national team. And we picked up a couple good pieces that I'm going to keep quiet for a little bit. But
I feel you, Coach. I'm
excited about them, and we need a couple more. This time of year, it's kind of how it always works. We went in the transfer portal before anybody else in the college scene, so we know what we're doing.
You know what you're doing. I feel you, Coach. Well, hey, listen, thank you so much, man. I know it was kind of last minute, and I appreciate you taking some time out in the car ride over to give us a call. But man, I think it's pretty impressive what you guys were able to do with Zach, and also what Coach Painter did over at Purdue. And I know Memphis, man. I know there's a lot of folks that are polarized about Zach, but we are not at the Anthony Sain show. We are excited wholeheartedly.
I don't think your best player is not excited. So I think everybody else should just get in line.
Exactly. If Ja's excited, everybody else needs to get excited, right?
I think everybody can just get right in line. He'll be first, and then everybody else can follow behind him.
There you go, Coach. Thank you so much, man.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I think people knew, at least towards the end of the year, Penny mentioned his mom being sick and battling throat cancer, I think it was, and different things. But he really opened up about it. I don't know that anybody knew about his mom having a stroke mid-season, leaves a shoot around, goes home to find his mom on the floor, and then had to basically leave her to still go coach a game.
It's crazy.
I can't, it puts things into perspective. It's just some things are more important than basketball. And so, to your point of him being distracted or focused on taking care of or the health of his mother, totally understandable. So no wonder a part of him probably feels personally attacked. I think if that had been out, and I'm not saying he should have put that out, totally,
no,
it's family,
absolutely not.
Privacy, whatever. I'm just saying, had it been out and people known that, I think he would have been given a lot more slack for what had occurred during the season.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Give me your position group or player or however you want to break it down that you're the most confident in and the least confident in.
Whether Arthur Kaluma plays for Memphis or not, it's the backcourt of Tyrese Hunter and PJ Haggerty. Them getting PJ Haggerty this year first was a needle mover to the highest degree, I think, in terms of what kind of expectations for this team. In terms of weakness, depth, maybe. Not having David, and not, if they don't land Arthur Kaluma, not having Arthur Kaluma, I think then depth becomes an issue. But I would also counter that and say we probably won't be hearing over the season, why is Penny playing 12 players? Shorten his rotations. Well, now it's kind of forced to if they don't have the horses off the bench to be able to come in and produce. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for a Penny Hardaway team.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show. Time for the three-pointer, man. We talk about three things going on in the world of sports. Number one, man, we're going to talk about the good that came from the NBA draft, good moves that I thought that happened in the first round. Number one, Rob Dillingham going to Minnesota. Shout out to Minnesota. I had my guy Cantrell Macklin. I did a little impromptu live stream yesterday.
Oh, was he on that last night?
Yeah, he hopped on with me last night. Yep. Catrell Macklin came on. Hey, but he in my private text message, he sent me a Grizzlies emoji like, good draft. But then he came online like, oh yeah, man, Rob Dillingham, man, we gonna come out there, we gonna cook y'all. Like, okay,
yeah, okay,
all right, but yeah, shout out to Minnesota, good move. Like I said, I think they moved to 2030 and 2031 draft pick.
Yeah, it was like a swap pick. It was like picks
uh-huh,
way down the line.
To the Spurs. You're talking about maybe 6 years from now or whatever. I'm sure Minnesota will probably still be good or pretty good. For Minnesota, I think this is a great move. I think this is a great move for them. You get a guy who you have no rush on. You can slow roll Dillingham, let him be whatever he's going to be. He ultimately will be the guy that replaces a Mike Conley Jr.
Mike Conley Jr.
That starting lineup. Yep. Like I said, you can send him to the Wii League until he's ready.
The Wii League. But stop retweeting that man. He's gonna get weird every time.
Stop retweeting Rob Dillingham. He's getting smaller every time.
He's getting more Wii every time you retweet him.
He's gonna be a Wii League All-Star for sure. Wii League player of the year. But yeah, Rob Dillingham, I think he's gonna be really good there. I think he's gonna be a Grizzly nemesis for sure. Like he's gonna be that guy. Yeah, when they get him ready in a couple of years, he's gonna be a dude that we're gonna hate Minnesota for even more. I think he's gonna be really good. I think he's gonna be really good for sure. He's just a guy that I personally would have been afraid to take.
You don't think his size? You don't think his size will be a detriment at all?
It's been little dudes like that hooping in the league forever, man. It's been little cold little dudes like that. They just either come out the bench and give you buckets, or if your guards and wings are big enough that they can stay on the court. It's always been the case. So yeah, I'm not really worried about him as far as that goes at all. Also, good moves I thought was Dalton Connect going to the Lakers. I think he went there at 16. A guy that slipped a little bit. People had him as high as 5 to Detroit. And
but I need you to walk me through it though, because initially, I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it was I was like, it seemed redundant to me because they already have Austin Reeves, right? Kind of fulfilling that role. Help me understand why it's a good.
For a team that just lacks guys that can play basketball, in my opinion. I think especially with him going to a coaching situation like JJ Redick, a guy who was one of the greatest shooters of all time. Dalton Connect being with the Lakers just makes a lot of sense to me. Plus, 2 hateable franchises collide. 2 front-running, fake-ass, nasty fan bases.
Can we speak to that for a second?
Yes, please. The floor is yours.
The hell? What are UT fans doing right now?
And then,
what is happening?
People saying the Grizzlies are missing opportunities to fill up seats. Hate to let y'all know, but one of the most marketable stars in the NBA plays for the Memphis Grizzlies. And I guarantee you he's got more pull than Dalton Connect ass would have coming off the bench for the Grizzlies. Like, hey, bro, I wanted Dalton Connect if it push came to shove at 9.
Right.
But I'm so glad he done play for us, bro, because I did not feel like dealing with their fans on y'all Caitlin Clark shit, the same stuff that y'all question on Twitter. Y'all are literally doing that shit, and y'all did it last night.
It happened. Like, how crazy was that? You called it. You said, do not pull that shit if Dalton
and they did it. They did it last
and they
night.
did it, and he's not even on the Grizzlies team, and they did it. It's wild, man. Could you imagine what it would have been like if Dalton actually played for Memphis? What would it have been like?
Exactly. They did the exact shit that what are you talking about? Or what does this mean? Is this something racist? The exact stuff I said was the exact stuff they did last night.
God,
so yeah, but shout out to the Lakers. He's a hell of a player. Like I said, I think that's a good move for them, for sure. Another thing I want to give props to is the day 2 of the draft. I haven't seen it. It hasn't happened yet.
Hadn't happened yet.
We're recording this before 3 p.m. But one thing I do like about it is that I just think it's good to have a reset. And people are saying, well, nobody's going to watch it. Nobody watches the second round of the draft anyway. They're kind of fatigued. People turn off. They just kind of keep up with it on Twitter. Just see what you get out of it. Plus, it gives an opportunity it's coming on at 3 p.m, so you'll get whatever eyes you get on it. You're not competing against anything.
They're waiting, and the NBA, Adam Silver and the networks are like, hell yeah, we still got Bronny James in this bitch.
Yeah, like, Bronny James is still in it, and it gives teams a chance to reset, a chance to talk overnight, a chance to wake up this morning and talk deals. It gives players and their agents time to, hey man, don't forget about me. Hey, don't forget about my client. Hey, to try to make deals that type of way, or also tell teams, look, I'm good. I'll talk to this team. Don't draft me type shit. I think there's gonna be a lot of movement today, a lot of weird things going on. Plus, it gives teams time to make trades that don't have anything to do with the draft. They might just be trades. You know what I mean? So I like it. I'm willing to see what it looks like. Number 2, there were some bad moves. in the draft as well. Number one.
Started off hot, baby.
Yeah, before the draft even started, Deni Avdija traded from Washington to Portland. Deni Avdija, 23 years old, one versatile player in the league, very young, very good contract. Washington trading him for no reason at all.
For what reason? Why?
Then first I was like, well, maybe he wants to get out of Washington. I'm like, well, not to go to Portland. I mean, so
yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand what Washington is doing. They got Alex Sarr in the draft, and I just asked the question, okay, who's he going to play for in a few years? Because it probably won't be Washington. They're just a horrible organization.
And friend of the program, Keith Parrish tweeted out yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He said, the Deni Avdija trade tells you everything you need to know about Washington, where you could be a versatile wing with a great contract and you've got no place in Washington.
Right. Well, we don't need this here.
We don't need this. We don't need this good contract.
He's getting better as a shooter, getting better as a defender, all these things. And like get rid of it. Like it's so dumb, bro. That you talking about farm teams in the NBA. Like those teams give small market teams like Memphis and OKC, Minnesota, who are smart, they give us a bad name. Like just
poverty, man.
Dumb.
Poverty in every way, man.
And they're in a major market. They're in Washington, D.C., and they're terrible. Like it's ridiculous. They gave away Bradley Beal basically to wherever team he wanted to go to. Like, man, it's crazy. Like they're just poverty for sure. Speaking of poverty, man, Richardshire goes to Atlanta. Zachary Richardshire goes to Atlanta. That kid's not going to be. He's not going to be the best player in this draft. So I think
the biggest bust potential of the first round, I think, or the lottery. I think
for years I've heard rumors that Javonte pushes certain guys for certain agendas. Right?
Oh, conspiracy theory.
I've heard that. I've heard rumblings of that forever. And those are things that have been made public forever. I'm not saying any. I'm not breaking any industry secrets. This clearly looks like a dude that just got a buzz that's probably not legit. And Atlanta's so dumb.
They fell for it.
You know what, bro? If I want that kid, if I wanted Sarr, I'm taking Sarr number one. I'm not letting. I don't care where you want to play, bro. If I want you, I'm taking you. Jaren Jackson Jr. would not work out for the Grizzlies because we had Marc Gasol. He did not want to come here. We had Marc Gasol, and we had a lot of other stuff going on too at the time, as far as with the bigs rotation. And Jaren didn't want to come here. And we drafted Jaren Jackson Jr.
And what the Grizzlies do? Sorry, bro.
Hey, bro, this is where you are. We made it happen. Call his bluff. He lives in Atlanta. Yeah. I had my boy, the boss man, on the show. Jay the boss man came on my show.
That man was preaching on your show last night. That was so funny, man. God,
he was going in, man. He was venting because he's an Atlanta guy who covers the team, and he don't like the way they go about doing stuff. And he'll speak his mind. He's kind of like me when it comes down to that. So I think Atlanta was super dumb for that as well. That dude's not going to be the best player in this draft. I don't even think he's going to be. I don't know. I don't see it. He might be a good player, but I just think he's extremely overrated. And I can't remember who the NBA player was, but some former player was like, yeah, man, I remember playing against that kid this season, and it was like, oh, that dude's the number one pick. Hell no. He was like,
what did he? I think he averaged like 5 points a game. Yeah, something like that.
That dude's it's bullshit, bro. And I think we'll see that real fast. But who better for that to happen with our good friends down in Atlanta? Also, do not understand. We talked about the opposite of this. We talked about Minnesota being smart for getting Rob Dillingham. Do not understand why the San Antonio Spurs traded out of this draft when you could have gotten another piece. You probably could have gotten more for that pick. I don't know, man. That's super weird that they got out of the draft to me for a team that's rebuilding. You could have got, Adults Connect probably would have been good there. I don't know, man. Zach Edey might have been good there. Like, I don't understand what the Spurs thinking was on that. But yeah, bad move.
Especially to not trade, especially for the picks that they got back that are so far down the line. Yeah. Like why didn't you get back?
Not that far down the line. Like it's 2030. This is 2024. This is gonna be the 24-25 season, right? You're talking like 5-6 years from now. How bad is Minnesota gonna be in 5 years? Right. They're still a relatively young team. I don't know, man. I think that's kind of crazy. And if it pans out for you, it pays out, cool. But it is, I don't know. Maybe we're looking at this in 2030, 31. Like, why the hell did Minnesota trade away 2 future picks for this little sorry dude? You know what I mean?
It makes sense. I mean, because if you think about it in terms of like if the leap that we think that Wemby's probably going to take this year, in his second year, they desperately need to fill a backcourt up with some guys that can get them the ball. Because I mean, you look at their team. They got wings. They got decent wings. But they don't have any guards. They have no guards, and they got Stephon Castle, which I actually think he might be pretty good. I don't know if he's going to be a point, but I don't think he's going to be a point in the league.
You know who the Spurs need to get?
Who's that?
Tyus Jones.
See, okay, but don't they have Trey already? I mean, I know Trey's not Tyus, but yeah,
that'd be a good move for them. I thought Minnesota would go their way, but since I think with them getting Dillingham, they're not going to try to get Tyus Jones. So I don't know where Tyus going to end up at all.
Because is Tyus a free agent or is he still in? Is he still have contract in Washington?
I want to say he's a free agent, and
go after Tyus. I've heard rumors. I've heard people on the internet say that the Spurs are making a play for DeJounte Murray to bring him back to San Antonio. That'd be wild. That'd be wild.
Because your backcourt would be him and Castle. Them boys are D your ass up and they playmaker.
Man, and Trenton Vassell at the wing.
Yep.
With man, come on.
Hey, that'd be straight. They still gonna be sorry as hell, but whatever.
Right.
Good luck to y'all, or best wishes, or
whatever. Thoughts and prayers.
Or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Number 3, man. I've never been excited about something I have no clue about. And there's Dr. Ed Scott being named the new AD for the University of Memphis, man. Taking over a mid-major program has to be hard. But I think Dr. Ed Scott might be the man to do it. I know nothing about this brother.
Right.
Other than he's a brother. I had to look on, hey, as a black man, anytime somebody get hired, I go look him up. Is he black? The name Ed Scott is one of those names that made me want to Google it to see. And he was.
Right.
I'm not sure if he's 100% black or, might be biracial. I don't know what's going on with the brother, but, yeah, Ed Scott is the new Memphis athletic director. I know nothing about this brother other than I'm excited. Historical hire for the University of Memphis. First ever black
it is.
to ever be the AD of this university. You know more about him than me. I've got conflicting reports. Some people are saying, oh, man, they hired a basketball guy. What about football? But some people are saying they hired a football guy. What about basketball? And,
right.
So you tell me, Ken.
I'll just say this. In 2021, 2022, there's an award called the Cushman and Wakefield Athletic Director of the Year. That's given by the National Association of Collegiate Directors of Athletics. Guess who won that award, Anthony?
Dr. Ed Scott.
Dr. Ed Scott. So people can sit here and complain, oh, is he a football guy? Is he a basketball guy? Now, at one point in 21, 22, he was ranked the best dude in the business. Mm-hmm. So I say all that to say, this guy is known for, Dr. Ed Scott is known for being a fantastic fundraiser, which with the direction that Memphis is headed in and kind of what they need to be all about right now, they need fundraising and help with that. And I don't mean this to demean Laird Veach in any way and how he went about and did things, but he came out openly one time and said that he suffers from social anxiety, which is a very real thing, right? Like it's a very real thing. But if you're an athletic director, it's very difficult. You might not want to suffer from. Anyway, I say all that to say, Dr. Ed Scott is known for being a guy who can walk into any room, talk to anybody, sell vision, sell direction, and raise money off of that, which is what Memphis needs. And also, I would say there are ties. He has major ties with a certain conference that Memphis wants to be in terms of a Power 5 conference. Yeah. And that is, if you're talking about a guy who is good for the job, you're talking about a guy, especially in what Memphis needs right now, is a guy who can raise money and a guy who can help the University of Memphis get into a Power 5 conference. And I can't think of anybody better than Ed Scott. I will say this, man, it's interesting to me. You look at the 5 names that were mentioned by the University of Memphis as the finalists for that job. Mm-hmm. And the majority of them were guys that have ties with the University of Memphis, whether they've worked in the past, they have connections there, they've worked there.
Get them out of here.
And I'm telling you, man, like it takes a set of balls to like walk away from somebody that you know to go with somebody that you don't know. And that to me tells me that the University of Memphis is willing to step out on a ledge and take a giant leap of faith. And I'm excited about that. And honestly, I do think I think they'll pay off.
Yeah, man, I'm with it. Sign me up, man. New blood. Like I said, if he can get us into that conference you were speaking of, hey, you're talking about real history. Oh, and imagine the victory walk I'm gonna do with a brother.
Woo!
To the next level.
Can I join
And
you?
I'm sure him and Penny are gonna be best buds. So the protect Penny at all costs narrative lives on another day.
Lives on another day,
Lives on another day, man. We're about to take a break, man. When we come back, it'll be more than Anthony Sain show. We'll see you guys in a minute.
Is this the biggest year in the history of the Memphis football program?
I think it becomes absolutely not only what they could accomplish this year. When you just look for face value this season, like this is the first time Memphis could ever legitimately compete for a national championship or a college football playoff spot. Right.
I just think like this could be a massive turning point for this program if everything goes to plan and they maybe even exceed expectations. There's never been an opportunity at a national championship. You've never been able to entice players of this caliber from an NIL standpoint. Ryan just got his extension. How does it all look when it comes together? I think it breeds a very exciting time, but also I think every game is going to be, everybody's just sort of a little bit nervous watching every single game because every single game is going to matter.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. At CreateASig, our top priority is to provide the best customer service experiences possible while offering the largest variety of vape supplies, legal THC products, and smoking accessories. Our trained sales associates are here to assist any and all customers to help them find the best products available. With our daily deals, weekend deals, loyalty rewards program, and our punch card program, there are tons of rewards to earn to help our customers save plenty of money along the way. Check out one of CreateASig's 4 locations across the greater Memphis area and come visit us.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Anthony Sain Show. Time for the Inside the Sain Brain, man. Sponsored by good friends at CreateASig. I definitely thought I would need some. I've never been into the opportunity where I said I wish I had some weed more than last night. Can you still feel? Because if you are a weed smoker, man, you know that when you're smoking a joint or a blunt or whatever, or you're vaping or whatever, you can kind of hit your little hit, get what you need, and be straight. Like if you need a little more, you can take a little more. But when it come down to taking edibles, Kenny Stubblefield, once it's in you, it's in you. You don't know what
it's in you, and there is.
It ain't no, okay, I'm cool. I'm ready to get off this ride. I mean, this is what it is, right? So I was scared to take an edible unless I had taken it early in the day. I said, if I take an edible in the middle of this draft, I literally might have a heart attack, or it may really be good for me. So I don't know how I'm gonna react to it. So I said, okay, I'm too late in the game to pop an Eddie, right? Right. So I really wish I had some weed last night doing the draft. Heart was racing, blood pressure probably was off the chain, but I didn't have nothing. Right. But shout out to my people at CreateASig. 4 area locations, man. Because if I needed something, if I had took an edible, I know where I could have got it from. I know where I could have got my vape from. If I could have had the Anthony Sain Asylum pack, I would have had that pre-roll to come with that as well, man. I could have smoked that and did my thing. I really regret I did not go to CreateASig before the draft, get read up. Or I'm not a nicotine user, Kenny. So
you could have used it last night, man.
Could have used it last night, man. But shout out for CreateASig for always being available, man. 4 area locations. You might see me at the joint on 10 North Main. You might see Kenny at the joint out there in Collierville, man, on 435 New Bahalia Road. But go visit any of the 4 locations. You're gonna get the amazing service.
I went by there yesterday and got stacked up before the draft, man. I should have
got like you, man. I should have got me a little flower, a little pre-roll or something.
I was having to produce.
I was too late in the game when I thought I needed it. But
listen, I haven't produced a show quite like the draft show like we did last night, and bro, it was intense, man. It was fast moving. Like I was the one behind the scenes doing all the graphics, and so man, thankfully I had a little something with me that was helping me kind of calm down because I was panicking. I was having to go, man.
Yeah, had your help from your friends at CreateASig for sure. Speaking of help from your friends, somebody who's not doing any favors to themselves, We're gonna call this young lady the Hawk Tuah girl. Has gone viral from I don't know why this interview existed. What was the purpose of this interview? But y'all know the story. I'm sure y'all have seen it. I can't get too deep into detail, but of course I will. But anyway, there's rumors that she lost her job. That's not. We don't know if that's true or confirmed or not. But we do know she sold a lot of merchandise.
$65,000 worth of hats, man.
This say Hawk Tuah 2024 as an election campaign.
Crazy.
We know what that's referring to, and we saw a teacher already get fired for the inappropriate hair thing with his students, right?
Right.
And I just think we live in such a weird social media time where people, if you're getting recorded, it's hitting social media. So it's like, is it worth it? Yeah, because she sold his merchandise. She's probably gonna lose her job, and she's gonna fade away. This isn't gonna be hot forever. It's just
right.
And then, like, as an educator, is it worth putting yourself at risk when you know this is gonna come back on you? I don't know if the termination stories are real or not. I don't know if anybody has her social media or not. The video I said, they're saying that people can't find her social media and she's keeping that private or whatever. But I don't know, man. Like, what are your thoughts on the whole thing? Like, our desire to just be. And she knew when she was cutting up that mess was gonna hit the internet, man. Well, maybe she didn't. I don't know.
If you've seen the actual unfiltered, like the full interview, because we've only seen, like, I think at first the initial thing that came out was just that little clip, but at the very end they both were like, "Hey, make sure you post that you need to post that." But I also think that there was a little bit of inebriation going on. Like, there was probably kind of like kind of outside of her mind.
She was one of our Middle Tennessee friends. She was a Nash villain,
right,
out there wilding.
Wilding out. I don't know, man. It's so weird because, like, at the same time, you go, "Hey, man, the internet is a wild place where a female can, or anybody can be pulled off the street at a popular destination spot, get asked a few questions, say something crazy, and then make $65,000 off merchandise in a week." But at the same time, like you said, you brought up the hair situation. Social media can be such a dangerous place, man, because you feel like it's almost like you've got this mentality of like you're just putting things out into the void and nobody's going to see it. And yet, if it goes viral, everybody's going to see it, and it can completely change your life. And again, I know there's a satire website that came out and had some statements about her getting fired, and then a statement about, from her, and it was not real. But you got to imagine, man, like, that parents and teachers and educators that work with her are probably like, "Come on, man, like, what are we doing here?" You know,
because there are a lot of questions that have to be answered now about Mrs. Smith or whatever. You know what I mean? So but it's crazy stuff, man. But like I said, hey, never will I shame any woman who's got the Hawk Tuah skills at all. Hey, shout out to you. Hey. If y'all find her social media, post that junk.
You said Nashville. Anthony's like, you said Nashville.
Hey, Nashville short trip.
You said what? You said Nashville.
Yeah, man. But like, it's been a good day, man. Been a good show. Me and you are definitely celebratory over my man Zach Edey being the newest member of the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm down for it. I'm super excited about the future, what it can look like. Like I said, I think he's a guy who we had a need, and I think he's overqualified for it. So I think there's no way this is not going to be, and all the people, he's too slow, he's too this, he's too that. We'll see.
As our good friend Chip Williams said in his segment, he has had the best college career since Steph Curry. Like, that's crazy to me, man. Like,
you slick ain't lying, bro. You slick ain't lying.
And yet folks are going, "Nah, man, we should have gotten Devin Carter." Like, get out of my face, man. Like,
and it's like, man, like, the thing is, and we'll wrap it up with this as we go. We're just really hypocritical, bro. It's like, oh, he's too slow. He's okay, so he's Steven Adams. Oh, he's too old. Okay, so he's Desmond Bain. Like, what do y'all want, bro? Like, what do you
want, man?
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild stuff for sure. I'm down for it. I'm excited for it. You should be excited as well, man.
Join us on the excitement train, man.
I can't really hold on. That's not his fist, so that's not. But fist. Hold on. Fist bump, my boy. Appreciate you. Welcome to Memphis, big dog. But yeah, for Kenny Stubblefield, this is Anthony Sain. We'll see you guys next week, man. And we out.
Thank you for listening to the Anthony Sain Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next week.